Lige Langston, buckaroo and folk artist, lives on the California-Nevada border. It's his life, his work, but most of all, it's his generous spirit that inspires the telling of this story.
Here's some toast, milk toast, just like your mother used to make.
Oh, thank you. Oh, that looks real good, by gosh. That looks good. Buckaroo beans. Yeah, I was raised on these things. They didn't have a lot of fancy food when we was short stuff, so my gosh, Mom, on Saturdays when she used to do her housework and scrub the kitchen and everywhere, why, she had a big mixing bowl, pretty fair size, not awful big, but a good-sized mixing bowl. And she'd crumb all her extra cornbread and light bread and biscuits and whatever she had left over from the week, and crumb it in that bowl and pour some milk on it and give us all a spoon and run us outside so we was out of the way. That's been quite a spell ago, of course. That is when we lived at Duck Lake or Duck Flat. Us kids, that's when we was little guys, all of us. So 1911, 12, or some along in there. Why, Dad was in the horse business. He raised horses out there. My dad and my uncle took up a homestead together out here. And, well, everything was free range then, and all these things, you know, worked. They didn't cost them much to come out here and live, and they could hunt and get their meat and game. But all that's no more. It's gone now forever. The golden sun is slowly sinking down behind the mountains to the west. Of you then, sweetheart, I'm always thinking, just fashioning the dreams I love the best. When it's night time in Nevada, I'm dreaming of the old days on the prairie and you. You know, we just stayed out here. You can't remember many things you did, only didn't have anybody to play with, only amongst ourselves. And one thing I do remember was that one time when the rabid coyotes was in the country. There was lots of them, I guess. My dad, he rode down there that one morning and fed the horses or whatever he had, just throwed some hay over the fence, I guess. And he was on the horse he was riding bareback. And when he got back to the house, the dog tangled with that rabid coyote. He run for the house, my dad did. And I was getting the wood in, and just happened I was in the yard, and he slammed that gate shut and was in the house and back out again with that gun by the time the dog and the coyote got there, and they come up right to the gate, and the dog or the coyote laid this way and the dog the other way with their feet towards each other, and they was right close together after he killed them. Shot them right at the gate, both of them.
If you want Lige to stop talking and telling about these ancient times, stomp on the floor. I remember one day he took a friend of mine and me out through Trinidad country and all over that way. He talked all the way over there and all the way back about days of long ago and different people that he had known and scrapes that he had been in, like he just told you about. We wonder sometimes why he was left to live.
Well, they're having a work day here, get the hospital. They're planning on opening it if everything works all right. And so they want to get it so it looks like somebody lived here, I guess.
Well, I'll be glad when we get this hospital open and get some of our people over here.
Yeah.
At least you could go in and see them more often.
Yeah, you'll be at home. They'll like that better too, I think.
He works the rawhide and things like that, and anymore there isn't very many that do this type of work. There's only one or two younger ones that do it, but of course I think a lot of that is we've got different materials now. Our synthetics come in and they use different ropes and stuff now than they used to, and years ago they had to rely on their rawhide ropes and stuff to work the cattle and you know, rope them and brand them and this type of thing, where now they don't have to. They can just go to the store and get a nylon and that's it, you know. But there's, oh, I don't know, and special meaning in things that you do with your hands that way. And I know every piece that he makes, he probably just, it's just a part of him, you know. That's just Lige. But he's of the old school. You don't go around bragging what you do, so the other people have to brag on him.
He's a stately old buckaroo.
I read a piece the other day in one of these books. A fellow that was talking said there was a rawhide worker. Somebody asked him, said if they wanted to start out working rawhide, he said, well, what would be the first thing to tell them to do? And, well, he said the first thing is to get the hide off of a cow or a critter. Well, hi there, Mr. Steve. How's she going here this sunny weather? How they been treating you?
Good.
Well, good. My gosh, sure good to see you.
What you been up to?
Oh, doing a little rawhiding and fooling around this winter.
Oh, good.
Yes, sir.
You think you can use this hide?
Well, yeah, it looks like a good enough hide just looking at it. This looks like it might have been off of a heifer or something, but probably died of calving or some darn thing. Now, they tell me this old Ortega down here at Red Bluff country gets yearling hides and jerseys if you can get them. He likes them the best. They're thin. You don't have to flesh much off of them, I guess, and make real tough strings. Now, there's something about rawhide that he knows that a lot of people don't know, that even fools with rawhide. I've always wanted to meet that guy and visit with him to find out. There's a lot of difference in these hides. You'd be surprised.
You think it's going to be able to make a bosal out of it for me?
Yeah, you bet. I don't know why not. I've got a lot of rawhide here, and get the hair off of it and stretch it out and cut it up into strings. Why, that'll make a lot of rawhide.
How about some reins too?
Yeah.
Big enough for that?
I think so.
He needs a set of reins pretty bad. He's trying to tell us that.
Oh. Well, we just well load this in the pickup. I gotta get her where I can get it home, put it in the brine barrel or whatever you want to call it. Scrape this off and be done with it in an hour or so. The first things that I started making out of it was ropes, rawhide riatas. It cost more than I could afford to buy, so I thought, well, I'll just learn to make them. So I did. Lots of guys in the country then that could work rawhide, knew what to do with it, how to make things out of it, and it was cheap. They could do that and didn't have to buy it, you see. But now it's a little different. They don't have so many chances to get rawhide like they used to, and maybe they don't know how to handle it after they got it.
It's a real treasure to have, and it'll get more valuable as time goes on. Like, especially like I say, when they quit doing these things, then they're gone.
And the old timers used to use them, but they knew how to use one. And the main thing with the riatas to not keep from breaking it is to let it run on the hornier saddle so it renders. This is a riata made out of cowhide. These are hackamores. And this is a two-reined outfit with a hackamore and a bozal, pair of bridle reins, and a couple of quirts. And these are hair ropes that we've made here, Ed and I. Now these McCarty ropes here, they're made for a lead rope or for hackamore reins, like on this hackamore. This is all set up ready to use, to put on your horse. There's your reins, and this is your lead rope here. If you was riding broncos, well, you could stick this in your belt, and if your horse falls down with you or bucks you off, why, you still got a chance to get a hold of this rope before he gets away. I have a picture here on the wall that even shows how these fellas use this kind of an outfit. He sees these hackamore reins go up over the horn, and he's got a blind on that horse and got a hold of the head staller, and after he gets on, why, he'll raise that blind up and go. There's Ben Cameron, and he's the fellow that started me out when I first started making riatas. Got a little grin on his face, and I don't remember that horse he's riding.
I did use a riata for a long time, yeah.
Yourself at home.
They're hard to get now, and you got to use them different. You got to take care of a riata.
They're expensive.
Oh, they are now. Yeah, you bet.
Hell, you can buy 3 or 4 nylons for a riata.
Yeah.
One riata.
More than that.
All you have to do then, if you're buckarooing with one of them guys, got one of them 30-foot ropes, is get off and give him his rope every 10 minutes.
Oh, Lord, that's not good.
You know, I was just wondering, Lige, you put all that time into this rawhide and skin the cow and all this and all that. It seems to me, and then you go out and you throw, like that day that Furman Sam was roping, and he roped a big calf and it caught a horn and popped, there that thing goes.
He was just a little careless. Something happened there with his rope, see?
It seems to me a heck of a lot easier. Just go buy yourself a nylon rope. I mean,
But they didn't have nylon ropes when they
what
used
about
to
today,
use
though?
Well, now maybe. But you never used one of these. You was doing much roping.
I never roped with one.
Oh man, you can't believe the difference.
If everybody's using rawhide, you can use rawhide.
Yeah.
If one guy's using nylon,
Yeah.
Don't use raw.
they'll break that rawhide in half.
Huh. Well, now, do you
Yeah.
rope with nylon?
I've seen them old guys.
I do now, but the damn things are dead. There's no life in them.
What do you mean it has no life?
It's just dead. You just throw one of them and it just dies. You watch it, one of them old timers catch a calf in here in the middle of the street. That thing just sails out there, and that
You
old
gotta be able to throw a rawhide and make some gun work. I can't. Those that. I never could rope with one.
oh well, you didn't practice enough.
I'd use a rawhide rope. That's all right, Charlie.
It's a whole different deal, rawhide than nylon. It takes more than a horse and a cow to break a nylon.
Jesus, this stuff's evaporating in it. I miss you when the campfire is gleaming, and I wonder if you miss me too. I can see the great divide and the trails we used to ride, the only bit of heaven I knew. When it's night time in Nevada, I'm dreaming of the old days on the prairie and you. I rode a heck of a lot of this country in between here and Reno. Big end of the time you're all alone. You even ride alone, work alone, everything. You just alone, that's it. I've always been that way though. I mean, as far if I had something to do, I just went ahead and did it. Didn't matter what it was. So if it had to be done, why? One time we was taking all that big bunch of horses to Pyramid Lake or Big Canyon. And that colt give out there on that Smoke Creek Desert. I hated to go off and leave him, so I cut his throat and killed him so he'd die. I had to get him down, take my pocket knife and cut his throat, but I did it as bad as I hated to. He was just a little young fella, you know, and just give out.
His horse was he was chasing a cow, and his horse hit a limb that hit him right here, tore his diaphragm loose, broke 3 ribs. So he was in a pretty bad shape. The doctors didn't give us much hope, but there was a reason that he was left. Maybe that's so he could wait on me now.
She's the chief engineer, I call it. She sits there and runs. It's hooked up to the electricity in the house. And all she has to do is sit there and work that little button.
And watch him.
All I have to do now is hook this onto this twister, and away we go. Horse mane is real soft and nice, and most of this cowtail's good. And horsetail is not any good at all for McCarty's. It's too coarse and stickery. It's not good at all, but there isn't many horses in the country anymore, not like range horses anyway, like they used to be, and it keeps you figuring all the time to have hair to make ropes out of it. Now this, as far as I go here, the end of my string, and this will twist up until it starts to kink here, and then we'll double it and run it, twist it again. A Mexican word, I guess you'd say, McCarty must be a Mexican word for hair rope, as far as I know. That's all they ever called them, was McCarty's. Now she'll shut it off up there and we double it. Now this end here that I brought around, well, we hook it right on here with the other one. Put them right together. Twist these 2 strings together and make one out of them. But we twist them the opposite direction. Then when we get ready to run them together, we have to make another string just like this one. Peg it down till we get another string made. Well, we've got our strings doubled once, and now we've hooked them on 2 hooks down at the other end, and we'll even them up, and so they're both the same length, and now we'll double it again and we're ready to run our rope together. Now she has a couple of nails there, and she separates these. Now you see it just twists together on its own, the rope. She goes down there and takes the slack out of the strings if there happens to be any in them. Now she holds the slack there until I get this twisted here. All the way.
I think I left a little bit too much here.
That's all right. I can fix it when I tie my knot. Yeah, you got too much, and this red string was loose too. You got a kink here in the end of it where the strap is. Got to get them together.
You let it get there after you took it.
No, I didn't.
Because I didn't have any that time. That's your fault, Mom.
No, it ain't my fault. We just didn't get it tight enough.
Yeah, I left too much here.
Lee Hereford's funeral is the first time I ever heard you sing.
Oh?
You sang Home on the Range. And I thought, my, if a funeral can be beautiful, that certainly was. You made it extra special for all of us.
He speaks and the sound of his voice is so sweet, the birds hush their singing, and the melody that he gave to me within my heart is ringing. And he walks with me and he talks with me, and he tells me I am his own. and the joy we share as we tarry there, none other has ever known. Be like the old guy that was up there. He used to live at Duck Flat, an old homesteader. The assessor come along there one day at his place and was visiting with him. You know, they used to come around and visit him.
Yeah, right. That you don't see anymore.
So the assessor was there, and I probably had dinner with him. And he was visiting, and the assessor was asking him different questions, you know, and pretty soon he said, I suppose you make a living off your place. Yeah, Mike says, I got to. I can't make a living on it. That's how sharp he was. You know? Boy, he was right on that. 3/8 rod.
What is it? Rawhide. Right.
Rawhide, yeah.
What is this used for?
That's a pair of bridle reins.
Bridle ring. Oh, I see.
Yeah, see, you hook your chain in the end of those loops there, and then it goes on down to the bit. See, your bridle chains are between your reins and the bit.
Lige, what did you tell us about the Smithsonian Institute wanting these things?
This old stuff.
Well, why would they want the old and not the new?
Because it's used. It's got history to it, I guess. I don't know why else. But a boselle, see, that was one thing they wanted, was a boselle. So I thought they wanted new stuff. So I was going to make them a new pair of set of reins and a boselle and a hackamore. This hackamore. I got another letter from that guy, and he said, we want something that's used. The longer it's been used, the better. So I've used this thing for 20 years, I guess, and maybe
Well, you made that one, didn't you?
I made them all,
Yeah.
always.
Well, I don't care if it is 20 years old. It still looks awful good to me, gosh.
Well, I can still use these, you
The
know.
work that's gone into them is something else.
Well, it's just different. I mean, it's you're making your strings out of a raw material. You have to get them out and make them, gauge them, and make them. But you just take an common old cowhide and cut your strings out of, or a calf hide, whatever you want to use. And approximately 8 feet I wrote down there, and there's 8 strings, 49 inches long. That's inches they are, though. 392 inches. Divide 12 into that, makes almost 33 feet. Feet, is that right? Jesus. Couldn't be that much. The amount of string that it's going to take for this hackamore counts up. I mean, it'll fool you. It's more than you think. These hackamores, when they're finished, are 12 inches inside here. And this string on this button, on the nose button here, takes about 14 feet of string for that, just this button. This string, you can see, is about it's wider than I need. So I'll run that through here between the gauge and the knife to cut it down to the same width. But see that now, that rawhide's working nice because it's just right, just right. See how nice it cuts and pulls. There she goes. That makes my string all the same thickness, see? I like that thing. It sure works keen. Now for this final step, I will have to bevel this or edge it, whatever you want to call it. Then she'll be ready to braid. Oh, good. Now we got her. Well, this is going to be a hackamore. So you stick one end in that vise to hold it tight and steady and start right in the center, is the way I do anyway. So all you have to do is make sure that you go under 2 each time. One thing you do with your braids is try to pull each strand so that they all pull about the same and they stay straight. But you see, it don't take long to braid one hackamore. Those reins, it takes me a couple of hours, or if you braid it steady, you might, I don't know, I never timed myself. Fella probably wouldn't get very rich at it. Who was?
I've been having trouble with that horse, tossing his head around, and someone suggested using this hackamore, but I really don't know too much about how these work. And
does he toss his head when you have it on him or not?
Yeah.
It's pretty heavy, but then they use a lot of heavy hackamores, but the ones that I make, instead of putting a cable in them, I take a piece of rawhide and twist it.
Oh.
And it's stiff then, but it's still pliable and not as heavy. Yeah, I just made this last week.
Well, maybe I should try a lighter one on that horse.
Well, that might be an idea. Take this McCarty.
Ooh. Now, is this something you made too?
Yeah. No, a lighter outfit might do the job, and then, of course, a horse that throws his head around funny like he does, or maybe it won't work at all. I don't know. He don't seem to mind it either. He just acts like he likes that. I noticed when you pull on him, you know, while you kind of tuck his head just a little too. He kind of acts like he wants to be like a hackamore horse. Well, that heavy hackamore might be what's the trouble there with that, making him throw his head. He's sure not doing it with that, is he? Heck yeah, he hangs pretty nice. Yeah, I guess you could say that it keeps you, so you think you're kind of connected up with this buckaroo life or handling stock. I like to work with stock, I really did. I got a big kick out of that, and just working cattle alone, you know, just ride into a bunch of cattle and pick out a certain kind and all the kind that you want, you know, and really class them up. There's quite a little knack to it. Roll on, roll on, roll on, little doggies, roll on, roll on, roll on, roll on, roll on, little doggies, roll on. Last night as I lay on the prairie and looked at the stars in the sky, I wondered if ever a cowboy would drift to that sweet by and by. Roll on, roll on, roll on, little doggies, roll on, roll on, roll on, roll on, roll on, little doggies, roll on. You better get in the bunch, you old battle axe. Come on! That was my fault, cutting her back like that.